Welcome to Entertainment World Network. Today we have an outstanding comedian and an interviewer for NBC who interviews some of the top celebrities in the world. Put your hands together for Paul Costabile. How you
Hey, you
doing,
got it
Paul?
right. Got it right, Gary. What's up, man?
this
Thanks for
this could
having
be
me.
the first time I've gotten it right ever. And I've hosted, we've done probably, 30 comedy shows together?
I think, yeah, it feels like more, right? I feel like I've done shows with you more than anybody I know.
Yeah, it's been quite a while. So Paul has been doing stand-up for a long time and also hosting. First of all, what made you get into stand-up comedy?
I was just talking about this, man. I've been hosting interviews for so long and always had this comedy bend to my interviews. And I started doing improv in New York, so I always loved improv comedy. Well, with stand up, as I got older, I wanted to really do my thing and figure out what my voice was and be funny alone. I was always reliant on other people. And let's be real, I talk to the crowd every show, so I still need other people to be funny, I think. But I just wanted to finally become a comedian versus just being a host.
Yeah, well, you've been doing it for a while now. Like,
Yeah.
how long has it been?
I think the total is like 5 years. I did 2 years before the pandemic, and then we moved here at like year two of the pandemic. Since I moved back here, I've been consistent. So 3 years in LA, plus the two, I think, in New York. So like five-ish. And I feel like I'm just starting to figure out how I want to be and who I am. I mean, it takes forever to really get it going, you know?
Yeah, they say to find your voice. Actually, Dane Cook once told me, he said, yeah, it takes like 7 years to find your voice. But you found it pretty quick. I think because as comedians, we utilize whatever skills we have and we bring it to the stage, and then we try to do our best with it. You've been
Yeah.
doing great. So it's been a lot of
Oh,
fun.
thanks, man. I'm glad it comes off like you think I found my voice when I'm just faking it. I appreciate that.
Well, your voice is your personality. Like
Yeah.
for a lot of others, like me, I'm more of a writer, so I have to kind of write something and then figure out how to bring that to the stage and then make it work. And what comedians inspired you
Oh
growing up?
man, everybody. I loved Conan O'Brien growing up as a talk show host. So and Letterman and all the late night guys were my first true inspiration to comedy. And then I was like, oh wait, some of them started in stand up. That's interesting. Oh, some did this. Everyone's path to that job was different when I first got into it. But it was late night was like the vehicle for me to study comedy. And I went back to Carson and Steve Allen, who created the Tonight Show, and all these greats from the TV world, and most of them started as stand-ups, and that's what like made me think about stand-up more as something I should try. It was almost like leading to this end goal of becoming an interviewer. And then it's funny now because I've been an interviewer so long, I'd rather just be a working comedian. It's like the opposite of how show business used to be. Like you,
Yeah.
you get stand up to then go be on TV and do stuff. And I'm like, no, I do my TV stuff. I'd rather you just buy tickets and see me live. It's different. It's different now.
Well, it's funny when I never wanted to do stand-up comedy. I never wanted to be a public speaker doing anything like that. I always like to be behind the scenes as I was working on editing and directing. And then you just realize it's another craft that you can utilize creatively, and it's fun to see the immediate response of people. Like you write
Yeah.
something for video, and you might not see the response for a year or two, and you see it right on the stage, like in the next day. Which
There's no better feeling. I know you know this because you're someone who I'm always inspired by, who like will take something new and try it and just see what sticks. And there's no better feeling than writing a new bit, especially like if it's topical or of the moment, and just getting like a punchline laugh with it. That's like so not deserved in a way because it's like brand new. But to me, that's like the bug, right? You're like, oh, I just worked.
And I feel like I had a really teachable moment this week I want to share with you guys, okay? This is the one, if I could share one thing about the week, it's this. Jada Pinkett Smith is the most annoying celebrity of all time. I don't care about your marriage. I don't care about your hair. Shut the up.
Yeah, versus any other form of the arts, you don't really know how people respond. The other side of that is if you don't get the laughs you think you wanted, it's soul crushing, and I owe therapy a lot of money I haven't paid yet. I'm just in debt to therapy.
well, that's what keeps it fun because we don't know how it's gonna go any
Yeah.
night. Like any night, it could fly or it could fall flat, and that's part of the excitement, right?
Yeah, I'm a bit confused though. Like I always am looking at myself and trying to be better, but like it really is confusing. Like we just had a great show together last week, right? Two nights before, I had the worst show I felt like I've had in months with some of the similar bits, right? So I get so confused where I'm like, I think it's in my head where it's so many factors you really can't quantify it, but like it is confusing sometimes to figure out what's working and what isn't, and probably even more confusing in LA because everybody's here. It's like we got to go tour the country maybe and see how our material really works. versus
Well,
just Metropolis.
yeah, I mean, they say never blame the audience, but there are distinct differences between audiences. Like
Yeah.
when we are some of our best audiences as far as like getting laughs immediately are in La Jolla or Pasadena, and then
Yeah.
Hollywood, they could be a little tight when they first come in and then loosen up over time. But our goal, I guess, is to have something so undeniably funny it hits with everybody everywhere. But there's a relatability factor, and things don't always work everywhere. You know,
Right.
so that's what we deal with.
That's what I want to challenge myself to do. And that's why I like LA, because some people have criticized LA where it's like you don't know if you're going to get great here because it is a type of audience. And I'm not blaming the audience. It's just like we're in New York or LA. You're in a town where everyone comes through. You're competing with the greats, and you're also, there's an expectation, I guess, in a way that's different. Whereas other cities, other markets might feel different. So I am very curious to like kind of take off the training wheels and go find other audiences and practice in other audiences. I also got kids and I got to stay home. So like I keep joking about going on tour for a long time, but like I don't know when I will or how I will, but I'm realistic about where I'm at. I just want to get better. So for me, if I can get better on stages that are in other cities with all walks of life besides these big cities, I think it'll make me a better writer, a better performer. I just haven't connected those dots yet. But we're getting there.
Yeah, just a matter of time. And the cool thing is your work takes you on the road sometimes. Like you were just in New York, what, a month ago or something, a couple months ago?
Yeah, I've always worked in New York still. And then what's fun about stand-up is I'll now try and play that game where if I'm doing hosting stuff or anything for my job in New York, I will make sure I get up. Like I have the bug where now I have to get up. I've also used my celebrity interviews to get stage time. Like if I don't know somebody, I'll be like, but I know George Clooney. Like that's not true. But in this world, people see these optics of like celebrity adjacent. They're like, oh, maybe this guy's doing something. Maybe we should book him. It's all the front. I'll tell you here on Gary's show. I'm the Wizard of Oz, and this is me behind the curtain and in front of it. But I use it, man. I use it because I just want to get on stage and get better. That's all it is. I just want to become better up there.
Yeah, well, they call it faking it till you making it, but you're not faking it because you're really interviewing these people. Like you interviewed George Clooney, The Rock. Who are some of the other biggest interviews?
I've been fortunate enough to share space with so many well-known people in show business and beyond. But everybody, man. Everyone, mostly in the music world, but yeah, Julia Roberts, Clooney. I think there's no better combo in the history of cinema.
No, there's
Really? Just take it. Take the combo, man.
Bogey and Bacall would be a little pissed off at you right now.
Too old. Well, you're here now.
Yeah,
Too old.
we're here.
They were younger than we are.
Well, I know. Well, but now in the present.
Just say thank you.
Oh,
Do you have a heart? It's true. I feel that way. I've been watching you guys forever.
Since he was a little
Forever.
boy. Yeah. Okay, I get it.
Okay.
That hurts too.
Everyone in this building wants to hang with you all day, and
Yeah.
I know I need to leave. I don't want to. That's how it is.
No, but actually you have to.
Oh, I should.
Yeah.
Am
Can
I-
we get him out of here?
Wow,
Can we
that's a
just
big
get him out?
security guy. Wow. Yeah, I just did the Dune junket with Zendaya, Florence Pugh. These are some movie stars now. Josh Brolin, I'm about to release a clip with him. He was hilarious. So yeah, it's been fun. In a way, it's all related to. And I think I'll tell you this: stand-up has made me more jaded to my interview job because when you do, I'll never forget. I've hit stand-up a lot harder since I moved here, right?
Yeah.
So when you're on stage multiple nights a week, like trying to get strangers to laugh at you, the celebrity interviews don't seem like I used to be. Kind of the environment can be stressful. You walk into a room, there's 20 people, there's cameras, there's publicists. I'm comfortable in that world now because I've done it for a while. But before, it's still not as scary as stand-up. Like you still have to like just get questions and let them talk. Like stand-up, you have 10 seconds to like be winning or you're completely effed. But I did I think what happened was I did a stand-up set the night before like a Jake Gyllenhaal interview or something. And I remember walking in to this big movie set to do an interview and just being like, this is not stand-up. This is I just get to, I don't even have to worry. I don't have to worry as much as now for that job. Does that make sense? Like stand-up made me less worried.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're very agreeable because they're promoting something pretty often. So they're trying to win you over and the audience as well as you're trying to win them over.
Yeah, it's like doing stand-up for an audience that has something to promote.
Yeah, if every audience member brought their mixed CD that they want to sell, and then they're going to be very a very good audience.
Well, people always ask me like, who's the best celebrity? And like for years, I used to think I personally knew these people because I hung out with them on camera. And then I had this moment where I was like, I'm on camera, and they're acting like they like it because they're selling something. Like it's all fake. But I've seen behind the camera a lot of personalities. But like I also see these people in a way that's presentable for them to be, doing what they do, promoting what they do, and it's part of this business. So it's not like a real, like, talk to me after like a dinner party with somebody, like, with no cameras. I think that's when you really, or actually, you know what it is? When you see a celebrity talk to a waiter or a valet or someone they can't get anything from, then you really know how they are. Then you can really see it.
Well, that's also why, or how Howard Stern is able to break down his guests, because they're on for an hour or two. They're not on for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. So we can all put up a front for a few minutes and act nice, but for an hour, our personality is going to seep through a little bit, I would think.
Yeah, I love interviews like that too. I love Howard as an interviewer. I think that's where you get to real stuff. And also, I've always had this kind of, it's not my ego or anything, but like, everyone's a person. So I enjoy the interview job because I do approach everybody like a person, and I kind of just have fun with them. I wanted to learn from you the face you make. It's a stoic face you make in this movie where you basically are saying, I'm going to kill you, but I care. Yes. It's on the posters. It's in the movie. It's who Black Adam is, right?
Yeah, that's a great interpretation.
Teach me.
Yes. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Give me some rage. Okay. Now give me an ounce of empathy. Good. There you go.
Too much brow?
Then give me death. Not you dying, but you.
Oh.
Yeah. There you go. Like you got to kill someone. Yeah.
That's what you see.
That guy. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Rage, killing.
I love it.
And then the last one, but I care. Give me a little bit of I care.
I care.
There you go.
You get the stuff for the job, but then you really just like don't have to, celebrities don't like when you're sweating and treating them like they're different people. And it's the same for stand-up in a way. If you treat the audience like you need their laughs, or that they're like not a peer and you're not going to relate to them, it's not going to work. So I try to, in a weird way, all my jobs have kind of converged with doing comedy and interviewing, and like it's all part of this same output for me. And it's more and more blending. Like when I do crowd work now, I just feel like I'm doing an interview. I feel comfortable doing it because I can interview anyone. The challenge with stand-up is like, if I'm talking to the crowd, am I going to get a laugh after a few questions? I try to. Sometimes it backfires, but
well, it backfires for all of us sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's part of the fun of it. So. And you worked with Ryan Seacrest at one point, right?
Yeah.
He's the king of the personality celebrity interviews, isn't he?
Yeah. I worked with him at iHeart. We were both like coworkers, and then that journey was wild because I got hired to be a writer, and I ended up being their main video host online for years because I was hustling it, and then that led to me co-hosting some of their TV shows with him. So at the time, it felt like the approval, the blessing and the approval of like a great broadcaster like him, and Dick Clark before him. And I do sometimes think with regret, like, should I have been more under his wing and taken some of his scrap jobs, like, after that time? But honestly, it was great to see him work, and he's a different type of thing. Like, I think I lean more to the comedy side because I enjoy that more than like just the broadcast side, if that makes sense. Like, it's kind of weird. You either like, you're a little edgy and funny, or you're like, you could just be clean like him. And I like his approach. He's done really well for himself, so I'm not judging. But I'd rather be like a Conan than, but I'm not, no one's knocking Seacrest. The guy's got 10 houses and I don't. So I totally respect what he's done. Yeah. And it was really cool to work under him because we shared actually what we did was we did skits. So like we did like sketches in a TV show because like I was like, we got to make this funny. So I was still like, at least at the time, trying to make it comedic, not just being like, let's just do the dance that we should do. We actually did a bit where in a bathroom in Vegas, and like it was something about him like never stopping working, and he was like a robot or something, and like we were like washing our hands, and like some guy came out of a stall and we were in the bathroom. It was like a weird sketch that I should really find and repost somewhere. Yeah.
I did all the promos for a TV program called Blind Date. That was a dating show where they followed him on the date, and there were thought bubbles, and we had a psychologist analyze the date. He was one of the first dates, or one of the early dates in the first or second season. And that was before he was, Ryan Seacrest. He was basically a radio DJ at the time. Yeah. So, and then he became this big TV personality. So we all evolve into different things.
I remember that show, man. That's funny you mentioned that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I did all the promos for I think the first or second season. It was fun. It was fun for a while, but grueling.
That show is so watchable. Like it was so. You just go on a journey with them. It was on UPN 9 growing up for me in New York. Is that right? UPN? I think it was.
It was all over.
Yeah.
And a lot of those dates turned out X-rated too. So they released a DVD of like the X-rated ones.
Oh wait, really?
Yeah.
Market, like Blind Dates Gone Wild?
Kind of. Yeah, it was pretty. It was very similar to that.
Dude, that's so funny. It's weird because reality TV has gone so far the other way. It's like the dirty stuff would just be part of the show now. It's like you watch these reality shows. It's like, oh, it's just blurred out. It's just crass.
Yeah. Worth their head.
By the way, I just did a bit yesterday for Valentine's Day, or I don't know when you're going to release this, but I did a dating bit and we were talking about blind date because I set up 2 blind dates, 2 strangers on a blind date on the street. It was a lot of fun, but it's basically that show.
Oh, cool.
It was really
I think
fun.
I saw you posted something like that. Yeah, interesting. What a fun thing for Valentine's
It reminded
Day.
when I edited it, and I literally said to my producer, I was like, this reminds me of Blind Date. Like we were just talking about it. It's funny. Classic.
So that's cool. So you're creating all kinds of content in addition to NBC.
Yes. Well, that was for NBC, that one, but I cut it for social as well. I kind of used it for both.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's fun. So what have been your favorite celebrity interview?
Oh man, so many. I always joke my wife. I have to say my wife because we're married, but I would joke about this on stage. She's not here, so I'll tell you about J-Lo. No, I think for me it's people I look up to. I think like for me it's like when you're a kid and you remember being a kid and then you get to meet those people. I think those stand out the most to me because you realize they're just people, right? And so you share moments. Like I loved Blink-182 growing up. I got to interview them. That was really wild. Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, like when you're with a legend like that, and you're like, I did like a guitar bit with him, and it's like, those stand out because, you're like with these people you grew up on the big screen. 2 other name drops I'll do for you is Jamie Foxx was probably the most talented person I've ever interviewed because he was so funny and so talented, so interesting. And on the whole time for me, like it wasn't even like I was Leno. I was like in a little green screen closet at this radio company, and he was just 110%. Like you like that a lot, you know. Jamie Foxx, and then the other one I was about to say. Oh, I just lost it. Wait. I forgot, but it was someone I really look up to, and I'll get it back. But Jamie Foxx was really trippy.
Yeah, he's stunningly talented. Acting, music, every comedy.
I mean, I'll tell you a story that's like ridiculous to tell for a podcast, but he basically messed with me in the middle of my own bit because that's how smart and quick he is. I had something called, I always try to do out of the box interviews that was kind of like kitschy and funny. And so I put a GoPro on the ceiling, hung a camera on top of us. And I said, this is the groove cam. Every time you look up at this camera, we have to groove and do like a musical thing. And because he's so musical. So he was like, all right, let's try it. And then we started like, so tell me about I got this new song and he kept doing it. And I started matching his energy. Like a golden improv rule back in the day is like, you just match each other, right? So he's like, yeah, I'm a man. And I'm like, I'm a man. And I'm repeating what he's saying, or I'm saying it with him. So it's like we're these 2 characters against camera. And he just goes, I'm a black man. And then he goes, and he drops the word you're thinking. Because he wanted to catch me. I'm doing this bit. He wanted to catch me and see what I would do. And I was like, ah! and literally,
hilarious.
I pride myself when I'm setting up comedy bits with celebrities. Like I really do feel like in control as a comedian. I'm having fun. He got me so good. I was crying, laughing, and just think about the quickness. Like he knew that I was going to try and match him, and so he's like, "Let me see what this guy thinks he's funny. Let me see what he does when I drop this." I just like it's one of my favorite. I mean, it's ridiculous. One of my favorite moments is an N-word bit, but I mean you know what I mean. It's just that he caught me so off guard in such a funny way, and it's like that's brilliant to me. Like he's able to have that wherewithal to be like a comedian in it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I'll tell you this really quick. I interned for Quincy Jones Entertainment, and we're having a big blast off party at the Roxbury to start it up. And my brother and I used to watch Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark literally every day after school for probably a year or two, right?
Oh.
So I pick up the phone and I get this voice. This is Harrison Ford. I'm calling to RSVP for the party with my wife Melissa, his wife at the time. And my soul just left my body for it was like an out of body experience, because this is a guy like I felt it was so bizarre to hear him, somebody I'd been watching from a distance,
Sure.
admiring his acting and stuff. And so I mean it must be very interesting meeting like your idols in person too. And
it's wild. And you just reminded me, that's so cool. It's movie stars that I've interviewed a lot of movie stars, and I humanize them and I treat them normally, but some of the movie stars from when we were kids are really larger than life, especially because of like how old we are. It's like we grew up watching movies in theaters, and these guys are larger than life, and they're bigger than and so when the other one that stands out now that I remember is Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise is a guy like you're just looking at eyes, on a screen, like you just know the guy so well. Yeah. And all of his features. And then in person, he's so present with you. And maybe it's a Scientology. I don't know. Maybe it's him acting. But he's just like right here with you and intense. Yeah. And I did a bit with him on a red carpet. It wasn't even like an intimate moment. And we did like a fighting bit together that just like it stands out because he was playful. We had he loved my energy and we had a blast together. But that's one other moment. Like most times when I do this job, I'm there and I'm present. I don't think about it. That moment, I was looking in Tom Cruise's eyes, and I was like, that's fucking Tom Cruise. Like, that's crazy. The kid in me was like, that's Mission Impossible. Like, that's Top Gun. Like, you're looking. So there's these moments in this business that it's definitely fun for that. But I enjoy it because on the comedy side, it's like I like to play with it all, too. Like, I'd rather be a funny interviewer that plays with these people than somebody who's like, oh, my God, you're the best thing ever. Like, I really can't stand interviews that are just like
fawning interviews,
which is most of the business now. So I'm like not as hireable maybe now, which I shouldn't say because I always go out for hosting stuff, but like I'd rather be real with people than kiss their ass. And so some of the best moments I've had, the Jamie Foxx, Tom Cruise, it's real fun moments with them, Yeah,
no, I've seen your interviews. They're fun. You make it fun. The interactivity you have with these people is always interesting, beyond getting their information that they want to get out and stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's funny when we had that party at the Roxbury and Steven Spielberg was there.
Oh wow!
Like now I would have gone up and said hi. Back then I was way too shy, so I couldn't do that. So that's the way it goes. But you brought up you met your wife at an interview, correct?
I did. I was actually that was one other interview. I was very thrown for a loop because she walked in. I was like, who is this woman? And, I'd hit on Lady Gaga, I hit on Mariah Carey. They all said no. And then she came in. No, that's not true for the record. If anybody gets mad, she wouldn't care. She'd be like, you should have married them. But
well, you've had 2 kids while we've been performing.
Yes. I would have been.
At least you faked me into it.
No, well, I love the story when my wife was 8.5 months pregnant with our current daughter. And I was doing a show and Gary was teching. And I said, Gary, it's a heads up. My wife might go into labor. Or I think I told you she was in labor or something. What did I say? I messed with you.
Yeah, you told me she was about to go into labor, and
I was just messing with you. And
I was more nervous than you were.
yeah, you started sweating. I was like, let's go. But I like messing with you. But yes, it's crazy to. I never thought this job would do that, and it was a really unique moment in time for me. We saw each other. It was like a first date on camera. Which I kind of feel that way about, even though I know you, but this kind of feels like a first date now with you because I'm attracted. Yeah. But
well, yeah, it's the 2 people. It's the best and the worst hair in showbiz together in one podcast.
Don't sell yourself short. You were nominated for an Emmy. Come on.
Well,
but I'm saying like it was just a moment in time. It was like lightning in a bottle. I did email my mom the day that we met, and I said I met the girl I'm going to marry, and I was just very romantic about it and had a big crush and asked her out for years, and she finally asked me out like a few years later. But meeting on camera's cute because we kind of have this energy in the room that everyone saw, and it's almost funny now thinking about the way the world is. Like, I probably couldn't have hit on her now. Like, I wasn't being creepy. It was just like a real romantic moment. But you're not really supposed to like find love in the middle of a professional interview. I was working for a company. She was promoting a record. So I almost feel like today they'd be like, you're not allowed. Like, I mean, I think you are, but like, I just think it's funny how it happened when it did.
Well, ironically, we're the day after Valentine's Day, and she wrote and performed one of the biggest romantic songs in history,
Right, right.
A Thousand Years.
1,000 years. Not written for me, but I like to think that she feels like she'll be married that long, because I think that's what
It hasn't felt like 1,000 years yet.
I'm working on a material about this, but I've always been weird to like joke about who she is on stage. But I think I should
Yeah.
start at this point. We've been married long enough. And that's what I'm kind of working on. You can help me. You're a better writer, but like she wrote this romantic song 1,000 years, and now she feels like she's been married that long. Like that's really what it
See,
is.
that's a joke right there. That's
Really
perfect.
it.
Yeah. And being married to me, it feels like 2,000 years.
Exactly. That's see, I knew you'd punch it up. You're a great writer. I knew you get a better tag. She's gonna re-release it 2,000 years. With married.
All right, and there's probably a Twilight reference too. For anybody who doesn't, everybody knows that song, I think. But that song is pivotal to the Twilight series. It's used twice in two different movies in Twilight, which is amazing.
Yeah. Well, the story is for the insiders, but her fans know this. But she wrote it for the movie, and she actually wrote it for the first movie for the wedding scene, and they chose another song. And so it's really unique about music. I just like sharing this with people who don't know is she wrote a beautiful wedding song that the movie did not choose, only for the world to choose it as a wedding song. Like they knew the world figured out what it was for, because it ended up being at the end of that movie, I think, and then it did so successful on the soundtrack that the next movie it was a pivotal scene in the movie. But the world realized it was a wedding song, and so like it's the top 10 wedding songs of all time, which is just trippy to think about being on that list for her. But I'm proud of her, man. It's a great song. I dreamt of her singing to my kids one day, and she does every day. So like I have to keep that perspective now that I'm in a marriage for a while. That it still is really special.
And I went to a wedding in the Philippines, and the bride sang that to her groom. So that's how far this song is spreading. For anybody who doesn't know, his wife's name's Christina. You can look it up.
Yeah.
We'll keep it on the down low.
The Philippines loves her music. I know that. That's really cool.
They love. My ex Filipina.
I know. You're the girl from Manila. I know. No, she was. I've heard your set more than there's a few of us. I've heard your set, Jimmy, Greg. But you know what I love? I love our funny friends. Like it's fun constantly seeing our friends perform. Like I always love seeing you at shows, man. I always have a good time.
Yeah, it's always fun. We have a good time. We have a good crew. And luckily we get great audiences. So is there anything first of all, tell the audience where they can find you and about your shows and find you online and
yeah, man. I'm in my podcast studio now. We took a break for season 2. It's coming out in March, season 2. It's called Pop Up with Paul and Friends, popupwithpaul.com. This is fun because it's a hybrid of my day job, interviewing, and also stand-up. So like I've had a lot of comedians in here, which you should come on next in person. I like talking comedy. I like just being looser here. I think it's hard. We all have podcasts now, so it's hard to like separate what mine is versus others. But I will say, it's been really special in here. Like I'm a longtime interviewer, so I'm now injecting bits and stand-up into these interviews, like more than because I'm sitting down with stand-ups. Like we're doing shtick as much as we're interviewing. I don't know. It just feels looser and more fun for someone who's worked as an interviewer for so long. It's fun to just like kind of have no rules in here. Like I like the freedom of that. Like no one's telling me what to ask. I'm doing whatever I want. We drink. I've had cigars in here. Someone smoked a joint. Like I don't care. It's just a cool hang,
Yeah.
And so that's the podcast. It's out every week. And we've had some big names. There's some big comedians, big actors. Like I'm fortunate to have some good names come on. The other side, just to say, is I interview regular people that are not in this business. And I think my interviews may be even better. Like I once did a woman who's 104. I did my Uber Eats driver once. I went to Hollywood Boulevard and picked up Spider-Man and Britney Spears. I'm like a lover of the
By the way, not the real ones. The ones that are dressed up for Man's Chinese Theater.
Well, for me, I really like doing show business in real life. So like, I think for season 2, I'm gonna kind of think outside the box and get some more like eclectic guests. I also to speak on Howard. It's like Howard Stern. Were you talking about Howard Stern? You were, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, he's always been good about finding the fun and finding the interesting in all walks of life. And that's my one fear being in Hollywood that I don't like is like I don't want every guest to just be like a famous stand-up or a famous celebrity. So I'm trying to think about how to make my conversations more interesting. And if it's interesting to me, it'll hopefully be interesting to an audience. That was a very long promotional, long-winded stint for my podcast. And then follow me everywhere at Paul Costabile, Costabile. My Instagram, my social has been a mix of all this stuff: celebrity interviews, stand-up clips, and podcast clips. Those 3 things now. And I have a little bit of an identity crisis. I don't want to stop doing any of them, but these days it's like whatever you post, you kind of got to like figure out what grows you. I like doing all of it. I started doing sketches more this year, like that I've done great, like just messing around. Like social media is so dumb to me. I'm just trying it all. Like it's fun to put everything out there,
Well, that's a great thing. We're not limited to one thing because we can throw a lot of stuff out there and something inevitably hits, and that's the direction we can go if we want, or we can just leave that over there and then stay over here and move around. So we're not limited anymore.
At the end of the day, I hope people like what I'm doing and come see me live or watch my stuff. Like I'm kind of like fatigued from trying to sell myself, but I do think I'm very grateful for the work I have and the stand-up. Like it's those 2 things are growing. So it's like, you try not to measure it too much because you can live or die by these numbers. You compare to your other friends, and it's like we're all trying to do fun things. There's room for everybody. It's weird that we're in this quantity culture now. It's like whoever, whatever number I have makes me above someone else. Like that's not true. And I've been around enough famous people to know it's not true. I also think we live in a culture that's so quick, immediate satisfaction that I'm grateful for my journey so far. And I have people every day that the new thing on is like, this person followed you from your reel. It'll tell you when they follow you from your content. And that happens to me all the time. And it's like, I know a lot of stand-up comedians who have done the same game. I know stories about Kevin Hart standing outside his show, handing out his card, making sure you get on his mailing list. There's an old school hustle to what we do that I don't ever want to lose. And it doesn't come easy, and you can go viral on the internet and you can get a lot of people, but it's a maintenance, man. It's continuing to put out fun, interesting things. And that's my goal is like, as being a dad and stuff, it's like, I want to be good at being a dad and a husband, and then also continue to just put good stuff out there and hopefully sell out theaters one day. But we're one day at a time, man.
That's the goal.
I'm cool with theaters. I don't need arenas. I just want theaters. What do you? I just want like a small theater.
Yeah, theaters are great.
I've done theaters. It's the best.
Yeah, you can make a living doing that. You can tour the country. And that's one of the fun things, like you said, about traveling and playing and performing to different people and meeting different people. And that's a good way to see the country or to see other countries too. So,
yeah,
great.
I just constantly like looking at myself and trying to see where I can improve. But I think stand-up does that to you. It's like once you're up there enough, it's like, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Right? It makes you look at yourself almost too much.
Well, it's good to like after every show kind of evaluate what could I have done better, what could I have done differently.
Yeah.
How constantly reevaluate. But you're doing great, so it's been fun to perform with you.
Thank you, man. Can I hire you to make my jokes funnier, or would you do that? Or what?
Sure.
Just say it publicly so you don't accuse me of stealing material. I'm going to hire Gary to make my jokes funnier. No, I was kidding. I need the help. I need all the help.
No, you're doing great.
Your joke writing. I love your joke writing.
All right, everybody. So follow Paul Costabile. Oh God, see, I can't get your name right more than once. Costabile.
Yes.
When I posted, I brought him up as Paul Costabile. Paul Costabile. Follow him. He's hilarious. And see his celebrity interviews and listen to his wife's music, who's amazing. So,
yes.
This is part 1, I'm sure. So I'll have you on again soon.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much for having me. I just want to know, are you in a basement somewhere, or is that really your background?
What? This doesn't look like background. I spent $25 million building this thing. I can't even afford to hire anybody. So it's just me now.
Dude, I know you're a video pro. It looks fantastic. Like it looks really good. Great job.
Oh, thanks.